Ponder here from Prjws Regional Joint Water. So go ahead and get started.
Thanks, man. Appreciate the opportunity to be here. We were here maybe a month and a half ago. We gave an overview of our project, and we felt like it was, I guess, in the best interest of all parties involved for us to come in again to be maybe more specific about our project. And we have a group here that is our team, engineers, attorneys, and board members and whatnot. So also we have Representative David Hyatt, who's been our champion in Columbia. We really appreciate everything you've done for us, David. He really has gone above and beyond call you for us. So, the concept of this project started years ago, and it's always been an interest in the county for the residents of Prjws County to have its own water source, to be manned by Prjws County people for Prjws County people. And it's not something that just came up 2 or 3 years ago. I've been involved in this for 10 years. I'm not going to say that we uncovered every rock or tree limb or whatever, but we've been very thorough in the process. And during the process, in my opinion, the most important part of the process was putting the team together that we have. And we've been working together now for a few years. Everybody knows their lane. They stay in their lane. We have a really good board. We have a really good staff person, Amy Brown. She's the only staff person we have. But we have good engineers. We have good attorneys. We got Clay Counts in our corner, so that's a big asset to us. So we put a group together, and we've gone through the process. Like I said, it started out in concept with the County Water Authority, and it transpired into the regional system. And as we've gone through the process, we've made a selection for the type of water source that we wanted to invest in, I guess for the longevity and the best interest of the county. I guess our goal here tonight is to share information with you. So in my opinion, it should be like a work session. We're going to basically cover all the angles of our process so far, and at the end of our part, we're going to open it up to any questions that you may have. So we may be able to elaborate on things that we may not have done, maybe far enough, or maybe new information for you, whatever. But we're very excited about where we started and where we are and where we're going. And we're not looking at this project for 5 years. We're looking at 50 years down the road. We're looking at our children and our grandchildren having a source of water that they can depend on, during their lifetimes and on beyond, hopefully. Lake Kiwi is a great lake. The water there is a great source. We've done testing out there, and the quality and purity of the water is second to none where we're located. So we're very fortunate to have that resource in Prjws County. And I think the other counties are envious of our resources in Prjws County, not just our lakes, but other resources that we have. So I'm not going to go over a lot of things that I went over last time I was here, because there are other people that need to speak, but I want to give Representative Hyde an opportunity to come up and talk about how he got involved in it, and I guess what he sees present and future for this project. And like I say, he's really been on board with us since day one. So, Dave, you come up.
Thank you, Tom. First off, I want to take this opportunity to congratulate you folks. I applaud you for stepping up. You were sworn in last night. I'm sure you probably swore at sometime today. Or if you weren't today, it'll be soon. You're now in the fire. And so I appreciate you folks stepping up. It's not easy. It's easier to sit back on the sidelines and to throw the darts at somebody else. but they're going to throw the darts at you now. But I got all the confidence in the world in each and every one of y'all for what you can do. I've worked with some of y'all already on some certain things, and looking forward to working with the rest of you on a lot of things. And as Tom said, I've had the privilege of serving Liberty for the last 22 years as a state representative. This is my last year. I'm starting my last year. This time next year, I'll be sitting on the other side, throwing the darts at you instead of having the darts thrown at me. And I got all the confidence in the world that Clay Council is going to do the job better than me when he takes over in a year. So we certainly want Clay to follow and do a better job than I did. But I got all the confidence in the world in him that he can do that. But again, congratulations on your victory and your opportunity to serve. And I appreciate it. You're in my prayers. And if I can ever help, please let me know. Let me just sort of give you a background on where I am or where I've been on this project. A lifelong resident. I'm 65 years old, and I've lived in Pickens all my life. Haven't lived anywhere else. As a matter of fact, I now live right beside where I was born. So I haven't gone very far in life in a lot of respects. But so I love Pickens County. I love Pickens County. I raised my family here. My 2 children chose to leave Pickens. I wish they could stay, but they chose to leave Pickens. They both live in Columbia, about 15 minutes apart from each other in Columbia. Their opportunities were there that they needed to take advantage of. But we raised our children here. They went to school here. Bo was just telling me he went to school with my daughter. And so we all know what Prjws County is, or you wouldn't be sitting here tonight. But for some strange reason back in the 70s, the powers that be at that time decided that they wanted to give away the water. None of those people are still alive. I would love to pick their brain and figure out what prompted them to say that was a good idea. Obviously, in the early 70s, as opposed to 2025, Pickens County certainly changed. And certainly Pickens County will continue to change as you serve for the next 3 or 4 years, however long you choose to serve. But I think now more than ever in my lifetime, if Pickens County, City of Liberty, City of Pickens, all those involved, do not control their own water, you're going to lose out. Because people are moving here. With the last 3 years, we're one or first or second in the state, in the nation, we're the fastest growing state in the nation, South Carolina. Number 1 or number 2 for the last 3 years. Pickens County is growing rapidly. You see it every day. You get in your car. I used to get from Pickens to easily 10 minutes. You can't get from Pickens to halfway to easily in 10 minutes. Pickens County is growing. And with that growth comes more people. And with the more people comes more need for services. I have the privilege in my role as majority leader in the State House, I have the privilege of meeting with a lot of business people that are looking to move to South Carolina. As a matter of fact, I appreciate Tom allowing me to speak first, but I've got to get on a conference call with some folks in just a few minutes. But I meet with a lot of Fortune 500 company CEOs that are looking to move to South Carolina. And they'll ask 2 questions. What about your natural resources? And what about people? Every single person that I talk to, those 2 things will come up in conversation very quickly. Well, we got plenty of people. We got some folks that probably need to be working that aren't working. We got to figure out a way to get those people back engaged. And I tell them, well, we've got the greatest natural resources in the world. I can take you to Pickens County and show you things that you'll never see anywhere else. I take them for granted sometimes because I've lived here all my life. But when other folks come, when I show people, there's been several companies that have come to Pickens County that I've had the opportunity to show around. And when I start taking them to places and they go, wow, this is in Pickens County. But you don't see that anywhere else. And so I fully believe that water is one of the most valuable resources we will ever have. And if we don't control it, somebody else will control it. They'll control it for you. Now, Gerald and I had an experience several years ago when we attempted, when we tried to bring in, and the mayor is now involved, and John's been with us as well, when we had to bring that company, the company, and I'm not going to call any names, I think you'll probably figure out what I'm talking about in a minute. There was a company wanting to come deliver it. And they were going to use a good bit of water. And Gerald and I spent hours trying to figure out how to get them the water. And really the only reason we were able to get it was because we had people here that control the water. If we had to go through some outside source outside of this county, I don't know that they would have been here. Because we couldn't wait for answers. Sometimes they were wanting answers immediately. And we could go to them personally, we could go to meetings, or whatever we needed to do to get those answers immediately. We didn't have to wait for somebody to run it up the chain and go to some board. We were able to get those answers immediately. And so they're here now. And they're actually talking about maybe doing something else in the future. And if they do something else in the future, they're going to use more water. And if you control the water and the amount of water that you have, when that time comes, they're going to be able to come to you and say, hey, let's talk about it. And you're not about to go run it up the food chain. You're going to be able to sit in a room like this and talk about it and make a decision as to what you're going to do with your water. And it's that important. It's that important. We're not some big city. We're not some company. We're not some county that's got 15 different water suppliers and all that. Folks, every drop of water that comes into Pickens County comes out of the same lake. And it's the Pickens County lake. So why in the world would we want somebody else controlling Pickens County water? We always have these differences of, well, Company A and Company B is talking about water, and they might be able to sell a little bit cheaper, and they might give you a little bit of better deal, but it's all the same water. It's Pickens County water. So why in the world would you want to give up Pickens County's water? That's been my question ever since 1972 or 73 when these individuals decided to give it away. And not only give it away, but now they charge us for it. You know? So why in the world? And I'm not here to bash anybody that's trying to do whatever they want to do. That's not my whole intent. My whole intent is to tell you there's going to come a time, and it may be soon, that you're going to need to control your water supply. And you may think I'm standing up here. They don't pay me a dime to say this stuff. I'm not on their board. I just firmly believe in what they're doing. I think they're about 40 years late doing this, by the way. But at least they're doing it now. We got a chance right now to make something that was done wrong in the 70s right in 2025. And you folks ought to play a big part in that. And you're going to get hammered with all kinds of stuff. And you're going to get hammered with water issues, you're going to get hammered with sewer issues, you're going to get hammered with trash issues, you're going to get hammered with the grass on the ball field ain't cut exactly right, the basketball rims didn't favor my son, and you're going to get hammered with all this kind of stuff. Just hang on. But you won't be faced with anything bigger than taking care of your own water. Because when it's gone, it's gone. I can guarantee you that if someone else gets control of your water, they're not going to come back to your council meeting and go, oh, by the way, y'all want to talk about me giving it back to you? No. All they're going to do is send you that bill. So as you consider it, don't take my word for it. I'm a Ronald Reagan guy. Trust but verify. Don't take my word for it. Listen to these guys tonight. Ask questions of these guys and anybody else that might want to get involved in the water issue. But at the end of the day, you're going to make that decision as to what you do. And I implore you, I challenge you, I plead with you. Keep control of your water. Please. Because you'll never get it back. And again, thank you. Thank you for listening to me. I'm rambling. But thank you for listening to me. I'm going to slip out. Like I said, I've got to go get on the phone call. I'm available to you, Mayor. Congratulations. You know where to reach me. John, don't ever call me again wearing that shirt. You knew I was going to be here, didn't you? But if you need me, I'm here, okay? Gerald, you and I have been friends for a long time. We've worked together for a long time. And if I can ever help you in any way, please let me know, okay? Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you.
Well, I'm the engineer with Max and Figures. I'm going to give you a few maps and charts so that we'll follow through. I will try to spend your time and be brief with it. Joe, if you don't mind taking that around. Okay, and I'll start from on the other side over here. My name is Troy Rozier. I grew up in Oconee County, married my high school sweetheart Nancy. I have 6 kids, 4 grandkids, out in the country north of Easley toward Davisville. I have a master's degree in water resource engineering from Clemson University, John. When you grew up in Seneca, you didn't know where else to go but Clemson. I have a PE license, have a small firm in Easley. We have 4 PEs there, a total of 7 of us. We've been blessed to work in the upstate, particularly with our water system. I am the lead engineer. There's a lot of people behind me that work here within my staff, and also Amy Hopkins here is representing GMC. She's the managing engineer for GMC for this project, namely the water treatment plant and the raw water intake that goes with it. She'll have a few things in a minute that if you have questions for, we can get you there. But she's the water treatment plant expert, and I try to hold it all together from an engineering standpoint. And my first job ever was right where CBS is here in Liberty in 1981. Before I finished school, I came to work here under decent engineering, bought half of it out later. Now it's Rozier Group, but started right here in the beginning and have worked for y'all for 40 years in this Midwest. And a lot of other entities that are part of Pickens Regional, I've worked with all of them. Most of the entities in the upstate, we've done bits and pieces, or sometimes as the in-house engineer for all of these entities. And I say blessing, it's truly a blessing. It's what God has called me to do in life, and that's why I'm here tonight. My presentation will simply follow the overview of the project. The reason the overview, some of y'all are new to the table. And some of this will be a slight repeat, but it'll also give us a status of report on where we are today. But the first map you have here in front of you, and I don't have a slideshow, sorry about that, baby. This shows an overview of the water districts within the county. Each one of them are color-coded, and they're labeled appropriately. And you can see Liberty in blue right there, kind of the bottom middle. The current water systems that feed Liberty, y'all are fed on each side through Easley Central Water District, the yellow, if necessary, through emergency feeds. And likewise, y'all can feed them water. But if you'll notice the blue line that runs vertical in the middle of the page, that's an existing 24-inch main, and at the airport it reduces to a 20-inch main that comes from a tap in the Greenville water system currently. That's the current situation for Liberty. Now, the new project, if you look to the west, to the left over here, you'll see a proposed water treatment plant. The water treatment plant will treat water there, and I'll get into the details a bit more in a minute. We will pump water to a tank. That tank that you see there, proposed storage tank, is at the intersection of Terrapin Crossing Road, Mountain View Road, and South Carolina 183. Just north of there on that high hill. It's a good place for a ground tank. And just for the record, our hydraulic head will be higher than Greenville's hydraulic head. We can actually feed water to Greenville if they had an emergency or something with our system. Beyond that, you'll see the TR1. That all is in place right now. The TR1 is a 24-inch. When you go to the top V of that, if you will, the horizontal semi-V is 24-inch. And then the lower part that heads down to Easley Central Water District is a 12-inch. all ductile iron pipe, all cement line, the best pipe you can buy, the best water quality pipe you can buy, best pipe for longevity to get you through life. And the TR1s are currently in place. They've all been pressure tested, and they're fixing to be sampled to be able to put production. Now, granted, we'll be using Greenville Water temporarily to run these and to flush these, but Easley Central will be able to go online very soon. Y'all will be online accordingly because you are right now. Notice also the bottom there, you'll see a couple of arrows. I call those my column shell arrows, whatever we call this. Cal wanted me to show on our map that water will actually feed from some of these water districts to other water districts within the county. You'll see at the top, future, we'll be able to expand the northern part of the county. And down here at the bottom, we'll be able to feed all the way into Highway 88 Water District, Town Central. And Town Central can actually feed City of Clemson. And years ago, it used to. So we're not looking at just the few people that are part of this. We're looking at 65% of the whole county being able to take care of this. And not just for us in this room, but for our kids and grandkids. This is bigger than us today. I'm going to turn to the next page. Y'all remember Paul Harvey? How many of you remember Paul Harvey? I didn't see anything over here. You know Paul Harvey? You need to look up Paul Harvey, okay? Especially around Christmas time. Paul Harvey, Christmas time, the birds, okay? Look. Anyway, and now page 2, okay? This is just simply a blow-up of what I just showed you, showing more where you are Liberty and how the water lines that are in place actually skirt around you. They were done that way because of rock. US 178 is loaded with rock trying to run a water line. Y'all seen that yourselves, I'm sure. This line actually turns green right there off of next to the water tank. I think that's Hillcrest. My backwards to Hedgepath or Hillcrest. Either way. Hedgepath. Thank you. Hedgepath tank. Right there, it feeds to 12 inch. It goes all the way down to Hardy's at 123. Goes under 123 and connects the Southside Water District down there. Rodney, you don't live back from Southside, do you? He's not here tonight, is he?
Yeah.
Okay. This is just, the point is, we're even feeding out into Anderson County potentially if we need to. And we've interconnected these water districts everywhere we can. We could actually take this water and flush it in a toilet in Lowndes, South Carolina, which is just a little heavy, but we had to under a duress situation. Not firefighters, but drinking water. We try to do that, and likewise, other people can help with it. We all can help each other with this. It's good neighbor policy, and that's the reason the South Side's here. And now page 3. I'll keep going a little bit faster. This is actually a rendering of the size of the proposed water treatment plant. There's nothing fancy about it other than what's inside of it. The lake Kiowee is actually behind it, primarily behind it to the right as you're looking at this. This will be a new technology in the United States. It will be the first ceramic membrane plant in the whole United States made with this type of membranes. You say, oh no, we're on the edge of technology, we might fall off the cliff. No, this has been done for years, probably 20 plus years in different places throughout the world. It's used in the wastewater field. Don't get those two mixed up, though. Water tastes a whole lot better than wastewater, okay? But this new facility in Austin, Texas will be constructing these ceramic membranes. And we just got an EPA grant for $4 million to help purchase these. So that's almost free. I don't know what we got. About 600,000 left, Kyle? I can't remember. Somewhere in there that we won't be paying. That we'll be paying for. The rest of it's free. So the commission's been real instrumental in getting every drop of money we can for this project. Next page is actually a plan view of the water treatment plant. It shows you kind of what's going on here from the intake on the lake. And we did a pilot study on the lake exactly within a few feet of where our intake was going to be. Amy, could you just stand up real quick, just give a brief, and I'll put you on the spot, just a brief on the pilot study? And I'll leave some of these with you. You're welcome to come up here and go through this. All right. This is important to see what water's in the lake, what you're going to be filtering, and technology we use is going to work. You got it.
So we conducted the pilot study in March through June of 2023. We compared two different ceramic membrane technologies. We looked at aqua aerobic and we looked at Ovivo. Aqua aerobic is a positive pressure system. Ovivo was a vacuum system. And Ovivo met the requirements for being built in the United States of America, as Troy mentioned. So really, even though both performed well, Ovivo is who we selected ultimately because of cost and because of that federal requirement to be built in the USA because of BABA. So this study here is from the pilot, and really the critical parameters that we were looking at was the flux. So that's basically the throughput of the ceramic membranes. That's measured in gallons per square feet per day. So we got up to 225 GFP, and we were able to size the membranes and how many basins we needed for the facility based on this pilot study. We also looked at the different chemicals that we would need to treat the water. So we had the coagulant to use ACH, aluminum chlorohydrate, and then at higher flux we used alum, and then for pH adjustment we used caustic. For the chemically enhanced backwashes and the CIP, we used oxalic acid, sodium hypochlorite, and citric acid. So we did see anywhere from 95 to 98% recovery rate on those membranes, which is really positive. In a typical plant, you have about 10% waste that's going to backwash. So having up to 98% recovery is really good for the facility. It means that your O&M costs are going to be lower in the long term. Again, we sized the plant up to 10 MGD with future expansion up to 15. So that's how we were able to plan the basins and the design parameters for the ceramic membranes. So you will have 4 basins. If I recall correctly, they're going to be 4 by 5 by 13 for the ceramic membranes. And this would be the first type of membrane in the United States used for water treatment.
While she's here, you got any questions for her?
I have the full report as well if anyone wants it with the attachments. Yes.
A few other things regarding this. My understanding, please correct me, but the ceramic membrane system we have pretty much filters out everything but a few minuscule viruses. Am I right in saying that, Amy?
Yes.
That, when the chlorine takes over after that, to kill those if necessary. It filters a whole lot more than a conventional plant with your sand filters like you had here years ago and other people in the area have and been using for years. And one of the chemicals, we're minimizing. We're not adding any chemicals we don't have to. Fluoride will not be in this on purpose. You know, we don't have to mess with it. We don't have to go to the hazmat suits with it. We don't have to keep up with all that. Personally, I think it's a healthier water to minimize the chemicals in there as much as possible. So we feel strong with what we've got from a design standpoint that we're doing the right thing. This didn't come by saying we want ceramic membrane. We actually went to Charlotte, North Carolina with the team. We looked at, while they were having a convention up there, we started looking at different ways to treat the water. We went through several different processes, started weighing them out. And usually ceramic membrane is a lot more expensive, but because we reduced our footprint, steel, rebar, and so forth, and the site, which there is rock out there, minimize all this, it became less expensive. We have an analogy of all those and comparable of all the different treatment processes that we went through. On the next page, this page, I don't know what Paul Harvey page it would be, sorry, I haven't kept up with that. You'll see a actually diagram, a flow diagram of how all this comes together, that you'll see the intake in the lake, which will be about 26, 27 feet below the normal full pond of the lake, not the 804 high pond, but the normal. That way boat crops can't touch it and mess with it. It'll go through a series of mixers and filters, and then you see in the middle the membrane basins. Y'all, when we pilot tested, we've got about 4 foot by 4 foot by 4 foot cube, and it's got these beehive cells in there, lack of a better term, ceramic membranes. The water's coming in and it's filling, and then they backwash. I got photos of this or videos of this how it backwashes with air and water scours these things out, and then that goes to a waste area, if you will, to recycle some of it. But even looking at it, you can see the bottom of this with the raw water. You know, we feel really good with this source. Can you tell? Anyway, from there we pump up to a on-site clear well, which is just a ground tank. There'll be 2 of them. And then you'll have high service pumps out of there that pumps to the other tank that I mentioned to you on the map right here, which is at 1,255 feet above sea level overflow. Y'all, while I have your attention to, once you go through this, you got questions, jot them down. I've been given permission to answer any questions that they've got, right? We're open and transparent as much as we know how to do, okay? So any questions you come up later, feel free to jot it down, holler, we'll get you the information back. Next page is simply a rendering of the entrance. We've gone far with Amy's group. They've got us an architectural part. They actually gave us a walkthrough of our building on the screen, 3D walkthrough. Everybody wants to know what's it going to cost, how long is it going to take. That's the next page. As we get right here, here you go. And I think y'all want to know total capital costs. These are just from a month ago. Well, actually, they're updated today best we can. The numbers, $85,993,000, maybe $85,867,000. We're close right there, okay? We're looking at an RD loan, 5% rate roughly at this time. It could go down a little bit, up a little bit. I think it's going to drop a little bit. Reverend, do you hear anything on the rates? Anything today with you? No, okay, good. I think, Rivers, you were on the phone with somebody from Washington today, weren't you?
But some RD guys, I think they were in Florida.
Okay. On national level, though. Anyway, what it amounts to on the straight line calculation of the debt service on the water and the cost per thousand is $2.36 that you see right here on the straight line. Per 1,000 gallons. We're currently paying probably $2.20? $2.08, okay? That's what you're currently paying. That's straight line. When you open the plant up, you can't go with a straight line, okay? This is so you can compare to other places. We've compared water rates probably 16 different places to see where they were and graphed all this to figure out how to get O&M costs and so forth. That's debt service and then production costs, total of $236. But when you start up the plant, you're not operating at full efficiency. So when we start operating at 4, it's 441. At 5, it's 373. You see these numbers, how they decrease in time. So as our plant grows, and the more people we bring into this, the merrier it gets. And you say, oh my Lord, how much is that? Well, if you're paying $208 right now, and you're paying $441 to produce this water and get it to you, that's what, $1.90, let's see, $2 and something per thousand, okay? So every 1,000 gallons that a person here in Liberty intakes, it's going to cost $2.30 more. If you're doing 4,000 gallons per month, it's going to cost you, $8, $9, $10 more per month on your beer currently. That's what it's going to cost you. Those are real numbers at this point in time. There may be some debt service that we got, debt service reserve that we got to add here. There may be some short-lived asset reserves that we want to calculate for, such as a pump going out or repainting tanks and so forth. We want to take care of our system. But you're simply taking this number per 1,000 gallons minus what you're currently paying, and that's your cost. Does it double your cost? Pickens got into saying it doubled our water bills. It doesn't. It just goes up that little bitty increment of a few dollars per thousand. And that's the true factuals that you do. Brian Jordan had an issue with that, trying to figure that out now. He knows. So, any questions on this while I'm on this sheet? Just understanding the sheet. You can digest it later. I know that. Go ahead, Em.
I know you kind of mentioned it, but how much are you setting aside for replacement of anything, failures, or that kind of stuff?
Usually it's 5 to 10%.
Okay.
That's a good question, but that's your short-lived asset reserve. USDA is going to make us do that period, but it's good practice. Now, how does this compare to other entities? On your next page is a graph. And this may tell you more than anything right here. Is it? If you don't have a graph, I told you I was blessed to work with different water entities in the upstate. Well, this red line is Blue Ridge Rural Water. They buy water from Greenville Water. That's their actual rate curve. Those are real points of what they pay for water there. And that line is projected out. And I'm not a statistician, but it gives you the R squared of 0.8. The closer to 0.8 you get to 1, the better. Okay? If you look below there, there's 6 Mile rates. 6 Mile Water District, that's their rate curve for Greenville Water. They're currently getting Greenville Water. And then the Pickens County Water Authority had, this is the rates we were given for Pickens County Water Authority, but the time we were given to them, they wanted us to buy capacity in Greenville, so they lowered everything. So that's not a true picture of that lower blue line. Now this bright blue line, the thick one there, is this previous page spreadsheet. That's how it graphs out. So this water system is going to cost more per thousand when we start. Okay? But as we grow, it's going to become less and it's going to cross over. And this is not perfect on exactly the year because that will be massaged in and out based on more people. But y'all are under member, y'all are part of this, y'all will get to make these decisions along with the other entities. Any questions on this graph? This makes it look good here. Okay. How much is it going to cost? How much is it compared to the next provider? It's definitely cheaper. When you do a life cycle analysis, we're a whole lot better off than we would be if we continue the way we're going now. And the Pickens County Water Authority bill, y'all recognize that on your 10 years ago, the Pickens Greenville North Water System grabbed it and ran with it. And we went to the Problem Permanent Institute out of Clinton on an overall county water review, source review, and we took the report from them and formulated it in another report we have. And I can give y'all the reports you want, about 2 foot deep if you want, okay? If y'all get interested, we'll go as deep as you want. You get mad at me, but we'll go as deep as you want. The next page. The question becomes, what are the permits that we require, and where are we on these permits? Well, the bottom line is we got all of them, but the due permit for PERC, Amy, when are we expecting it?
December 15th.
December 15th. We're expecting that blue line to turn green December 15th.
December permits you need for the process.
No, sir?
And all your permits, correct?
That's all the permits. I did give you on the next few pages the permits because we're proud of them, to be honest with you. They're pretty. But the next one is the South Carolina DES or DHEC at the time. This is the description of the projects in here. This is the permit to build everything. Okay? As far as the transmission mains. The next page in here is for the water treatment plant and intake. And I'm going to keep rolling. We're waiting on FERC, of course. And then from Duke Energy, you'll see right there the semi-approval from them on the intake that we can get out of the lake. This actually goes to FERC for their final approval. So we're not in here twiddling our thumbs or anything. We're waiting. And we don't like waiting, I'll be honest with you. But we're moving forward. We're moving forward solid. We have just a little bit of time here and there with some hiccups. It's the nature of it. But we're currently on target where we should be. This sheet right here, I won't go into it, but this is actually from our construction consultant, Harper General Contracting. They've been a team member with this from the beginning under the CMAR process. And this is the actual schedule that they have presented to us now. So you're welcome to go through it and look at it. Now, the CMAR process, am I going too long?
No, go ahead.
The CMAR process is not where you take a beautiful set of plans, and that is what, 408 sheets?
Yeah.
408 sheets of plans, and this is an excerpt from it right here for the water treatment. And then we have the same fixtures in the transmission mains and the water tank that's going in. All that we've got is all permitted, ready to go. And this is, we can normally you bid a project, you can take this, get contract documents together, you give a 30-day notice, everybody gets the numbers together, come in and go bids. With the CMAR process, we wanted to get the construction consultants on up front, not at the end of the project. If you got problems here, and change orders can bite you in the rear end. So what we did is went through the CMAR process, which is we sent out a scope of services of what we want. And we had several contractors come in here and talk about it, and then they get to discuss it. Then they put their numbers in on what margins, percentages of the project they were doing. And then the team here, commissioners, and I'm sorting this up, but the commissioners would actually do an evaluation through an evaluation process. And I forgot who did the model for this. It was evaluated, and everybody signed off on the paper. Every commissioner that looked at it was a decision-making committee. And then, based on that, we went through a open, free, and fair competition procurement method to determine who would be our best contractor. It was our general contractor. So they've been on board with us from day one. So when Amy's group would design something for the water treatment plant, we can get the construction guy say, we may have a problem with this. Well, let's go ahead and fit this in here while we're here in the design process to save time. That being said, I hope y'all get to go out to coming up to you're on next one. Right. Hope y'all get to come out to the water treatment plant. It's great to go stuff. Everything that they intend. You can see it. You'll see a good sign up there. Joe, what's the name of the sign? Pristine Waterways. Pristine Waterways is the sign. You'll see it before it's turned in there. Y'all have any questions for me? I know it's a lot. The door's open to look at it, come back with you. What's the time frame for being complete? This first of 2027 right now is where the schedule leads you. They said they can tighten it up, but that's where we're at now. That's on the last page up.
I seen 26 and then 28, so I was just wondering, I see someone had said, what was it?
Bo, you're looking at it more with me.
Is that just for Liberty to be online, or is that for everybody?
Everyone.
Final completion is 4/10/28. That's what it shows there. I was wondering.
I think there's a time sheet in there.
It should be a 2-year construction period.
Just asking, I was thinking.
Good job. Keep us accountable.
How soon before everybody's online, or around the time everybody's online, will you be able to go out for a tour or something like that? Just to be able to see what our investment is.
Year and a half, 2 years, but you can go, if we get the FERC permit, 2 or 3 months, you can go out and see some construction going on. And if you want to go to some pipe work, we'll show you the hydrant stuff in the ground. There'll be a tank up there too.
What stage are you in the pipe, laying the pipe? Where exactly are we?
Every bit of it on this,
I was asking you a question for a reason.
Gerald, every bit of the pipe,
TR1 or late?
the TR1, all that is in ground done, and it's been pressure tested, it's finished in this house.
I heard that. I want to make sure we got that clear.
Yes, sir. Here, I didn't take it on, brother. No, it's work, it's good job.
Madam Mayor, members of council, I'm Gary Cook with Beth Flynn. I'm a public finance lawyer. Help local governments around the state, essentially borrowing money, issue bonds, but also do all kinds of other things related to that, including setting up joint water and sewer authorities. Can y'all remind me, were any of y'all on council when I gave the talk in 2022 in January, August of 22, or August of 2023? Okay. And I'm pretty forgettable, so you may not recollect my vaguely. Okay. Well, I'm going to try to be as brief as possible because this is even more boring than the engineering. But what? So just I'm going to back up like 30,000 feet. So 20, 30 years ago, maybe a little bit longer than that, the legislature put some statutes together that allowed for local governments to come together in the power context, and then a separate statute for water and sewer. And y'all may be familiar with PMPA, Piedmont Municipal Power Authority. They bought a piece of a nuclear power plant up in Rock Hill area, and they all joined together. Some of the constituents tested. They didn't like that contract before they sort of got started with it. The Supreme Court said, no, that agreement's fine. Legislature, shortly after that, came out with a statute on water and sewer, and it's patterned exactly after that statute that let people get together and join in backing contracts in order to do projects that, frankly, are just too big for one entity to do away. So that's the whole idea. You got regional project, regional significance. It makes a lot of sense for, say, maybe one person do it, they just can't. They just don't have the financing, they're not going to be able to get it. They got to join together with their sort of brother and sister local governments to get it done. What the statute does is it allows for a up to 50-year contract. It requires everybody to make their payments. So if you get together and you get into an agreement, you say, hey, we're going to borrow this money, and the amount of money has to be set forth in the agreement. Here it's $90 million. You can't borrow more than $90 million. The plant can cost any amount of money if you go get grants beyond that $90 million. We can't borrow a cent more than $90 million for new construction activities unless we come back and get the agreement of everybody in the group. So, and I'll come back to that in just a second. But basically, the idea behind this contract is it requires all of the participants to it, which are the City of Liberty, City of Pickens, Easy Central Water District, Pickens County Water Authority, and 6 Mile Rural Community Water District, to buy 100% of their water needs from the project for the next 50 years. And that 50 years started back in 2023. The deadline of the contract is June 30th, 2071. So all the parties have agreed to buy their water from the regional. Now, it is not a suicide compact. If there's a problem at the regional plant, you are encouraged to have an emergency connection. You're encouraged to have a secondary backup. But you should only, the contract does say that you're only supposed to buy water through the secondary or emergency backup in the case that the plant is offline. So don't let anybody tell you you can't buy water. It's just the opposite. It encourages you. Go, make sure you got a backup. Troy, I think, will tell you that's just good common sense. Make sure you have a backup. But the reason it wants you to buy all your water from it is for exactly the good reason Troy was saying a little while ago. If everybody buys all their water from it, then it makes everybody's water cheaper over time. So there are other ways you can do this where you buy a set amount of capacity. Y'all might be familiar with Anderson Regional Joint Water System, where 13 different community public entities, cities, towns, special purpose districts, Clemson University, some others got together, and they bought Duke Power Company's plant, and they got out of the water business. That was back in 2001, and they've been, I think, pretty successful with that plant through time. That's been a good working model. But they have capacity that, frankly, in drafting this, I met with Scott Willett, who's I think he's just recently stepped down, but he was the executive director for a long time. He said, I think the right way to do this is to make sure that you can have capacity that sort of shifts through time based on your needs. You don't need to pay for more water than you're using. You just need to pay for your portion of water, make sure you size the plant right from the get-go. So that's wrong. Troy's fault, not mine. But we got to make sure everybody buys their proportion of water. You buy all your water, everybody's price goes down. It has the ability to grow with time. If y'all need more water, y'all can come to the commission through your membership on the commission and move through that. Unlike your current water contract, where y'all are a commercial customer, Pickens County Water Authority, y'all have board representation here. And I want to make a really key distinction here. When we created the Pickens Regional Water System, which is a new local government, so we created a new local government. We had a certificate of incorporation from the South Carolina Secretary of State, and that creates a political body not a town, that not quite a special purpose district, but sort of it's its own thing. But it can sue and be sued, issue debt, all that kind of good stuff. That sort of sets the platform for representation of all the entities, but all your rights and responsibilities, all your obligations come through the agreement. And so the statute says, hey, y'all can create a board, create a government, but all of your rights and responsibilities are in the agreement. So that came a little bit later. I think we incorporated, is it 2019 that we incorporated, Tom, or was it 2020? About 5 years ago. About 5 years ago we incorporated. We didn't get around to doing the agreement until first date of the agreement was 11th of January 2022. And that was after ordinances by every municipality and votes by all the special purpose districts. And we've also amended it 2 times more. One was to account for the massive inflation during the COVID-19 crisis. And then the second one was to allow us to pursue a transmission project before we started the plant. Because before we couldn't undertake any construction activity whatsoever, and y'all see that in the agreement, we couldn't undertake any construction activity at all unless we had all of our permits in hand. Well, Bonnie Ammons and Rural Development, RIA, the state, they said, we're going to give y'all $10 million towards your project, but we're not going to sit around and wait on your FERC permit, because the feds told us we got to spend all this money by, I think, the end of 26. So, y'all better get going. So we said, okay, guys, that was when I think I came back to y'all. It's like, hey, we need to amend the agreement to allow for parts of the project to move forward without having all of our permits if we want $10 million in free money from the state. So I think everybody thought that seemed like a good idea, and so we said yes to $10 million and moved along and did that. We've had to do some other financings since then. We borrowed $11.5 million, $3 million of that is for a match for the $10 million state money. The rest of that is for some design for the big plant. The rest and some of the other parts are some real estate acquisitions to provide for the area, for the tanks, to purchase the line that runs between Pickens County Water Authority and here, and a couple other things like that. They're just sort of some preliminary expenditures and a match for the transmission project. Once we get the USDA letter of conditions, we can go and get a construction loan for full $90 million. That'll refinance the $11.5 million note, and we'll move along. All those approvals from all of the entities have already been granted. They are all granted through this agreement. At this point, barring the money, it's just a matter for the commission, which again, y'all are a quarter of at this point. So with that, I spoke a little bit longer than I intended to, but I'd be glad to answer any questions you have or what have you. I think for all the things this contract does, I'm kind of proud that it's only 24 pages long. That's relatively short as these things go. But let me know if you have any questions.
Could you cover for particularly for me, but also for the new council members, exactly what Liberty's obligations are under the agreement, if any, beyond purchasing the water?
Right. So y'all's obligations under the agreement are to purchase your water, and you have to pay a rate that is calculated in Section 302 of the contract. And so it's got 3 pieces. It is the capital charge, which is debt service. It is 1/12 of the capital charge is based on what percentage of water y'all use in the plant on an ongoing basis. Initially, it's set for the first 2 years, and it floats based on your proportion of use after that, because that seemed fair. Next piece is your portion of the O&M expenses, just what does it cost to run it. And then the third is the system depreciation charge, which is the question I think that was presented earlier, which is what that is. That budget gets set by the commission each year, and when we close the USDA loan, we'll know what that debt service is for 40 years. That's not going to change, unless y'all's commissioners vote with the others to do something a little different. But we can't increase the debt beyond $90 million, except, I need to mention this, you shouldn't have to do this for a real long time, but in order to maintain capacity in the plant and to meet any regulatory requirements. So that's in 309A, so that's really about it. So you got a brand new plant, we shouldn't be coming back around and ask for an increase in the amount for a good long time. But y'all's exact, oh, sorry, keep on.
Do you have an idea of what a yearly O&M charge would be, like, and how much our percentage would be? I think it's like what, 1/5?
The O&M runs about $1 per thousand.
Okay.
So the payment that they make would be just based on whatever rate is assigned to their water.
That's exactly.
They won't get like a separate bill each month for the capital charge. It'll just be the one.
Well, we'll delineate it, so I mean, we can make it clear what it is. Yes,
What you're saying.
that's so when you get your charge for your monthly bill from the regional, it'll have all of those things baked in, because our bond covenants will want us to, we don't want to come to y'all and say, hey guys, we got a principal payment coming up, we need, that entire principal payment. Like, we're going to bake 1/12 of each of that into the month, so by the time the time comes, nobody's having to sort of scrounge around to sort of figure out how it's going to get paid for.
That kind of brings me to the second question.
Yes.
If the plant doesn't start operating until
Q1 2027.
was it 27 or was it 28, whichever. Or will debt service payments be due before then?
So
and how will they be covered?
That's a really great question. So right now what we've done is we've done 1-year notes, and we have been capitalizing interest. So that means that no debt service is coming due. Our plan is for no debt service to come due until the plant is operational. And that's baked into this agreement that we say we are going to do everything we can to make sure that you don't have to pay debt service until the plant is operational. However, if we start providing water, like if for some reason the plant doesn't come online and we start providing water through the transmission system, for whatever reason, then if the commission votes to issue the bonds to do a long-term financing, then debt service would start coming due. Again, USDA is pretty generous with how long they will let you defer your initial payments, and we think that they will let us put our first payments into the year in which the plant's operational, so you will have some time to build into your budget what those rates look like and make sure it's covered.
Thank you.
And Gary, we currently have those built into the model.
Right. The other thing is
built into this chart you just gave us, I think, if I'm hearing correct.
The other thing I need to mention, I think I did mention when I came to talk about the amendment, is there are a couple things in here that are key for the financing. Financing something as a group is kind of wonky, right? Like, you got to kind of be joint and severally liable with the other members. So if you have one of the other members, and this is a payment, y'all are agreeing to chip in for their piece. Now, they forfeit that capacity and then assign the joint system as the agent to resell their capacity to somebody else. So it's not like they get off scot-free. Like, you can cut them off and then wholesale water to somebody else, in order to sort of make up their piece. But the general idea is that these are water rates, and people should incorporate these into their water bills, and this shouldn't be any surprise to anybody. And so it shouldn't be an issue. It has not been an issue in really any other place in South Carolina. I mean, there's Anderson Joint Regional, Fairfield Joint Regional is getting off the ground. Low Country Regional is going right now. There's OJRSA that is a solid waste entity up in Coney County. These people are not missing their payments. People are not shirking their responsibilities. You're agreeing to, as part of your budget, it's not a surprise. Just make sure you budget for whatever the rates are.
Where does that leave us with Pickens?
Pickens?
Yeah, and I'm just curious, because that's one
Certainly, that's, and I'll be delicate here. They are very important to draw a distinction between being a member of the political entity and a party to a contract. And the statute is extremely clear in that it says you can leave the political organization, but when you leave, that does not change anything you've agreed to. And they are a member of this, they're a party to the agreement. As far as I can tell, they aren't obligated to buy water until the plant comes online. They're not obligated to pay debt service on the transmission project until the long-term bond is issued and the time comes. They have a provision in their contract with Greenville that says that if it's found that they have to buy water from it, then that contract expires. That shows me, I feel like they may be dancing with 30 feet to a certain extent. But, they're guilty feet, rather. But we'll see. I mean, we'll see. The time hasn't come yet to cross that bridge. Everybody's encouraged to make sure they have just as good a source of water as they possibly can up until the time the plant comes online. But the contract, again, is pretty clear. When the plant comes online, that's when the payment obligation comes on.
Diggins in for 27%, I think.
So that's right. That's the initial.
8%.
Yeah, the initial percentage is right around there. Yeah, 27.8%. That's right.
That's just one of the questions we hear.
Absolutely, and again, their payment obligation doesn't come until the invoice gets sent.
Same with us. If we did something different, we still argue with the contract.
That's-
I'm reading it.
It's my opinion.
What is the breakdown percentage for each of the entities within?
Yes. So it's 8% for y'all, 27.8% for Diggins, 31.7% for East Central, 0% for the Water Authority, because they're sort of ceding their representation to y'all. I mean, there's no sense in them being a member and then selling y'all not having representation. That was, I think, one of the main reasons y'all wanted to, because I don't remember if y'all wanted to join, it was that y'all wanted to see the table. And then 6 miles, 32%.
You said Dickens was 27.
Yeah, 27.8. That's Exhibit A of the purchase agreement. I think that, Mary, I hope that covers the general idea that outlines. I mean, it's, you buy all your water until 2071, and you make your payments, and you make sure you budget for it. But very importantly, it's sometimes you get questions like, how do you buy against future councils? How do you enter into these long-term contracts? How do you do all these things? Well, the answer is there's a part of the Constitution that says that you can bind together with other governments to do joint projects. And then there's a statute enacted by the legislature that says you can do specifically this. And then we got an analogous court case on the power contracts that says that's an enforceable contract, even if it's, a pretty, I mean, there's I always like the analogy, the weakest kind of contract I can conceive of is like an oral contract with a kid down the street, cut your grass for $10 a week or whatever the going rate is these days. And on the other hand, is a 50-year take-or-pay contract with other governments where you agree to make payments if they default and buy all of the output of a contract. I mean, it's on the spectrum, this is closer to this end than an oral contract with a kid down the street.
What was our initial buying? That was a question I've been asked. I've seen 500,000 in contract. I heard 50,000.
I think 50,000, and there've been some payments along the way.
It was 50,000 to join in 2021. I found it right here.
Numbers in the contract. I wasn't sure to read it right, so I want to make sure I got that clarification for that's good.
And then it's been 25,000. Y'all, instead of paying monthly, y'all pay annually every year. So y'all pay 25,000 a year annually. But y'all pay 50,000 in 2021 to join in November.
Any other questions? Thanks very much.
Mayor, Commissioners, council members. My name is Kyle Michelle. I work for the Regional for over 4 years now. I'm also a lawyer, but I'm not as lawyerly like as Gary is. I do mostly state house work, do government relations lobby at the state level and at the federal level. And so I just wanted to come up and comment on the political support that you have for this entity that you're part of. And it started with really the county council. County council put up $50,000 to start this effort because of their recognition. Really long time before they put up $50,000, almost 10 years ago, 7, 8, 9 years ago. They put up that money, but they had recognized for a long time that exactly what Representative Hyatt said. That it makes sense for us to be buying our water ultimately from over there when the water is ours coming from over here. And they're taking our Pickens County water over there, and we're paying those guys over there for our water. So why aren't we doing it ourselves? Well, we're not doing it ourselves because you can't afford to do it. Because the plant costs too much. But over time, you got enough people who can afford to do it, and there's enough growth in the county, and guess what? If we all join together, we can afford to do it. So that's the whole idea behind this. County council was behind it. The county government was in favor of it. They have been in favor of it. I'm not going to speak for every member of the county council, because obviously I'm sure some people have different opinions. But they started this project. We've enjoyed strong support from Representative Hyde, Senator Rex Rice, and from other members of our state delegation. Representative Philip Bowers now is in 6 Mile, Fort Clemson. Representative Neil Collins, everybody's had strong support for this at the state level. I think Troy mentioned, we had a $10 million grant from the Rural Infrastructure Authority, the RIA, to build our transmission system. We were given another $1.5 million grant from RIA last year to supplement that work and other work we were doing. Then at the federal level, the $4 million EPA grant came from Senator Graham. Senator Graham's been behind this project since we first took it up to him and presented it to him 4 years ago, because he sees that it's his home county and he's in favor of regionalization. And in fact, just as luck would have it, I was with him at an event about 3 weeks ago, and I talked to him about this project again. I told him how much I appreciated his support for it. And he said, well, that's my home. That's my home. I'm always going to be for my home county on anything they're doing that serves everyone. So we have enjoyed his support. And I would also say that we met with Congresswoman Biggs. Of course, we met with Congressman Duncan before that. He was supportive of what we have done. Congresswoman Biggs is pledged her support, as has Senator Scott in D.C. We take about a 24-hour trip up to D.C. once a year just to make the rounds, tell everybody what the progress is, talk to them about the project, where we are, seeking their buy-in and support. So we've had a lot of support there. So that's county, state, federal level that we've got good support for the project, and that has meant a lot as we've gone through the process with FERC. Senator Graham's office contacted FERC last month to encourage them to, he can't put his finger on the scale, but he can say, do everything within your power to help this project be something of interest to you. And he's also helped us a little bit with USDA, and may continue to do that. I think that's about all I had to say, but I'm happy to take any questions if anyone has any. I want to reiterate one thing. I think we got this. I think y'all got it, but it's hard to grasp. It took me a long time to figure out everything that Gary's talking about. It took me quite a while coming back to it to get my arms around it all. All the money comes down to the water bill. So the $11.5 million that's been borrowed up to today will be rolled into the $90 million loan. There's not two different ones. It'll all be rolled into that. That all gets paid back by that water rate that's on that graph right there, on that blue line. So you're just pledging to pay for the water, and that kind of covers everything. And I think once people understand that, and they stop thinking about how much is our city, or in the case of Easy Central or 6 Mile, how much is our water district going to have to come out of our budget to pay for this? It's all, everything is wrapped up into that per thousand charge there. And then the last thing I'd say, since we're talking about money again, because that's what everybody wants to talk about, is these board members really don't get paid anything. The lawyers, we get paid. Engineers, they get paid. Everybody who's helping on the staff level, we get paid. The board members don't get paid anything. I know that's been bandied about a lot. They could get. I think we'd have to ask Harry, but I think it allowed, just like you guys get such a stupendous amount of money for your service on city council. I think we have the ability for the board members to be paid for their service, but as of now, no one is paid. So if there aren't any questions. I'll turn it over to the next presenter.
Are we able to get a list of everyone that is on the payroll? Just to,
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
are we able to get a list of everyone that is on the payroll? Just
That would be me.
Just her.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you need
All right, Amy's the only employee.
Okay.
And
Just scale rooms and stuff, that's all.
yeah, Amy's the only employee, and then we work out of 144 McDaniel Avenue, which is Brooks County Stormwater District.
So doing it really clear, 62560, C says the commissioner's not.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I told you Gary would know. Thanks. So it's part of the contract. Okay. Anything else? Thank you very much.
Well, my name is Bill Smith. I've been president of Liberty since '79. Of course, I did years on city council from '88 to '96. I've been a member of the Prjws County Water Authority since 2008. And one of the two groups got together and got this thing started for the regional system. That's the 6 mile. The Water Authority is looking at doing this project by ourselves, but not enough money to do it. At the same time, the 6 mile bought the property. They thought they might do it. Some not enough money to do it, so we tried to go together. We got a couple of good meetings. One was over here at the Edmond building. The second one was a big one down here at the industrial park. Different groups, different entities. We finally got enough people to get together and we formed the regional system. I'm chairman of the Water Authority and also secretary treasurer of the regional system. So I've got a real good knowledge of all of it. Like I say, I live here in town. If anybody has any questions, Rhonda knows where I live, but I don't know if anybody else does. I wasn't heard on this past year up the county for a while. Gerald may know where I live. But if I see him coming, I'm going to run the other way. No, but I just want to introduce myself because I am a resident here. I'm introducing myself to Caleb. She represents what I ran for and represented for 8 years. It's a lot of things to do. This is a big issue here. But I retired from Michelin after 31 years a few years ago, but I was also president of the board of the credit union, which I had to start as a standalone unit. So I'd like to have people stand on their own, be represented by the people. At the time I did that, credit unions were all employees of Michelin. So we had one of we had our director, our chairman, another chairman, but our CEO of that got fired by the company, didn't tell anybody. So we decided we're going to try to take over. And we did research, we got the NCUA, we got approval for it. To me, that's why this process is so important. None of us get paid either on the Water Authority or the regional system. We don't know anybody anything except people of Pickens County, and we just want to keep some of this water here in town. It's going to get the water about double the next few years. It's going to be scarce. It's going to get higher and higher in price. This way we can have to control it for us and for y'all too. But they lived in my home. Both my kids born and raised here. My boy turned 2 in the house we lived in. My daughter's the only house she's ever known. My boy's 48. She's 45 now. So, but this right here. I just want to let you all know that you also had another delivery person on the board. So technically, you're going to have 3 on the regional system. I'm on it because of my position with the water. So, no, I think it's what Greenville Water is trying to do with us is sort of ridiculous. We're off to buy-in. The biggest thing is I got 3 different months I went down to that board meeting in Greenville. And I wanted to speak on see if we were to participate in your system, we have a seat on their board. They laughed. You don't live in Greenville City, do you? I said, no, I don't want to. Yeah, nothing to do. And then just turned the back and told me, So, that's a bad taste in my mouth, too. We were buying something, not having representation for it. I think we fought a war for that back a couple of years ago. But those kind of war. Keep that in mind, folks. Glad to be here. My knees are both shot, so that's why it takes me a while to get up. Sometimes I can't stand up.
So you got the message from our team, and it's a very good team. A lot of thought, a lot of energy, a lot of work's gone into this process. It's not something that developed over the last couple of years. I was on county council for 12 years, and the discussion goes way back beyond that we need our own water intake in Pickens County. Again, the county council is the reason that I'm here. I didn't expect to be in public service as long as I've been there, and the only reason I am is because of this project. One thing I will say is that we had the foresight to go with an early works project, which allowed us to go ahead and start work at the site so that, say, Amy says within 2.5 months or so after we get our work permit, we'll be ready to go. We don't have to go out there and do any grubbing and, stumping and that kind of thing. I mean, we've got some fine grade done. And Jerry, you know how difficult it is to do grading in this type of weather.
It's terrible.
So that was part of our reason was we want to be ready to go as soon as we get to go in to start. So again, a lot of thought has gone into it. I'm sure there are other things that we could have, done that would have put us in a better position, but we covered as many angles as we possibly could. And we got input from all our team members. So it's been a complete team effort. I'm a lifelong resident of Pickens County, and I take a lot of pride in my county. Dave's talking about all these people moving in. I'm not sure I like that. I'm an old that country boy, and I like to go out my yard and look around and see the mountains instead of somebody's rooftop. But it's a reality. So we're already behind the queue on infrastructure in a lot of areas. Our roads is one thing. Pickens County was behind for a long time on sewer, and we're still not where we need to be. But we have a water resource out here that it's a diamond in the rough as far as I'm concerned, and it's there, and it's in our county, and it's our water as far as I'm concerned. So I'd say I'm very prideful of being a resident of Pickens County. I'm proud of Pickens County, and I want to see Pickens County take care of Pickens County people and people in Liberty, Pickens County people. Again, we appreciate the opportunity to be here. We have monthly meetings on the second Tuesday of each month at 6 o'clock. We welcome people to come in and learn more about our project, and we have a public comment period where people can actually get up and ask questions, or they can get updates on where we are and what direction we're taking, or see, just kind of get ideas to what we're about. And so we encourage people to come to our meetings. I can honestly say that I'm very proud of how honest and transparent we've been through the whole process. There's been a lot of misinformation, I guess is the gentleman's term I can use, that's been put out there on Facebook and other social media platforms that have just misrepresented us totally. The thing about Kyle brought up about we're not paid, we'll never be paid. This is strictly a voluntary board. And we're very proud of that because we are the people. We represent the people. And so going forward, we look forward to working with the City of Liberty. The Regional Water Authority will protect the people in the City of Liberty and the City of Liberty's right for water. P. Boone Pickens was a smart man. He's a guy in oil business and made billions off oil. He bought a bunch of land in up far Oklahoma. He couldn't quite understand it because the land was worthless, but underneath the land was a big aquifer that went up into Nebraska. So guess what he did? He got in the water business. And he said, I figured that I could make a few more billion off selling water. And I heard this statement made more than once that he who controls the water controls who lives and dies. And I'm not saying it's going to get to be that drastic. Deep Power is not in the business of providing water. They're in the business of generating power. They have levels that they have to maintain on their lake. Hopefully we never run into a situation where those levels drop so low that they cut us off. But at least in a situation with us, it will give us an opportunity maybe to have more advantage on controlling our destiny if we control our water. If somebody had to make a decision on the outside as to who gets cut first, it'd be us. So, going forward, again, we look forward to working with y'all. And any questions after tonight, or are there any other questions that maybe have come up since?
How many people are on the board again, and how many are from each district?
Each entity has 2 representatives.
Each one?
Yeah. And they also, each individual has a vote, and they're part of the decision-making process. They receive information. We don't count votes. I'm not saying that you kind of go along with, but you vote your conscience. But each entity has 2 representatives. That would be the City of Liberty, that would be 6 Mile Rural Water, that would be Eastern Central, and the County Water Authority.
And that's everybody?
Yeah.
Is that typically the mayor and administrator for each of the?
No. In fact, well, I think I'll go back to when Pickens was part of the board. It was a mayor and a councilman. With water districts, it's the chairman and it's the manager. And with the water authority, it's Bill. He's the chairman and I'm vice chairman. Bill's been doing this for a long time, and he's serving that.
It is up to y'all as to who you like to appoint. They could be ex officio from council, they could be a member of the community. They do need to be a qualification as an elector of the city, just like you'd be eligible to serve on city council. But anybody you want, and they do serve for terms that they also can be recalled at your pleasure.
Resolution.
And y'all appoint by resolution. You can change the resolution however you see fit. It's just a simple resolution. I can make sure Mary has a decent path that works for you.
I've got one.
Okay, perfect. And then the question on votes. The votes will change a little bit, a lot of it, once the project sort of gets moving. Some votes have to be based on the 8 votes. Some have to be based on weighted voting, based on the percentage use of the plan. Like the election of chair and a few things like that. I think the decision to issue bonds has to be 2/3 of the commission. I think that may be all votes cast, but they are heavily weighted towards actual consumption. So, like I regret to inform you, Tom, that once I think everything is going, the water authority, given it will be taking 0 water, this votes get pretty diluted pretty fast.
I'd go home.
Yeah, that's right.
I'd go home 7 years. I keep telling them I'm going to Australia.
Hey, Tom, real quick, and this is, I'll chase it back for just a moment. The supply line we're using right now belongs to Pickens Joint Regional, and I think y'all kind of assigned it temporarily to them.
Yeah,
Could you touch on that just a moment?
178, right?
Yes.
I'm not, years ago, Liberty was under a similar procedure on quantity and quality because their water source was on 18 Mile Creek and the creek dried up. The city was kind of in dire straits because no one seemed to have a remedy for their situation. So the county activated the water authority, and there was a tap on the legal line that was there for the county. So a grant was written that partially paid for the water line to come from Pickens to Liberty, and the water authority basically assumed ownership of that water line. As the regional was formed and whatnot, the regional purchased the water line from the water authority, and the water authority leases the water line from the regional until we go online. Once we go online, then the water line will be fully operated by the region.
without this agreement, the reason I say that, if I'm understanding this correctly, without this here, we would be responsible for a new line that goes from Liberty up, and I call it out of curiosity, killed me. And I can call that salt system. And he gave me a ballpark of $8 to $10 million in 3 to 5 years. You know, it's just something to think about. If I heard you guys right, we'd probably have a baseline of 5 years to 8 years before we kind of that blue and red line crosses, so to speak, to becomes semi.
But it's called a 5 to 10 years probably.
Yeah.
Where that depends on how much usage is on.
And I guess I think it's just more like a marathon versus a sprint. You know. So
Yes, sir.
I appreciate you answering those questions. I shared with Tom some of those questions I shared with you this morning, so you kind of.
Any other questions? What, Davey made mention, I'm going to be very brief about the tremendous growth in South Carolina. On the western side of Prjws County is a tremendous amount of growth. And fortunately, we're going to be in position to be the source for a large majority of that. So there's safety in numbers, if you understand what I'm saying. The more people we serve, the better we look as far as water rates for the future. And our goal, we're not on an expansion program. We're not going here, there, and yonder. Our primary focus is Prjws County. The only area we would consider expanding is maybe up on the northern end where they still have dry hydrants for fire protection. They're on well water. The pump is going to determine how far we can expand. But once we get up and running, we're going to look at that really hard to see if we can expand in that area. But we'll never expand outside Prjws County because our goal is to serve Prjws County and the citizens of Prjws County. So we're not expansionists. We're not looking at money's important. We're looking at our rates doing this, coming down through the years, and
We also have the ability to the contract at the end of the 50 year to buy for 10 additional. Is that correct?
So anyway, any questions or comments or whatever?
No, I think I read it there somewhere. It was actually at the end of the 50 year to keep buying.
The statute says you can't do more than 50-year contract starts at.
So we have that ability to, if we're looking long term, I guess.
You're going to take care of that in 50 years, aren't you?
I'm a one term wonder, Tom. You know me.
But we do appreciate the opportunity to be here, and we do encourage you to come to our meetings. And Andy Brown is our representative, and if you have questions or whatnot, or you need to get information to us, you can go through her to us. We're available. We appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Thank you. I get everything I asked for.
Thank you so much for coming out. I know I had asked a lot of questions over the campaign season. Some of you might have heard them, and this was perfect. This was the information I was looking for, hoping to hear, and for everybody here on council as well. So if we are all set, we'll go ahead and close it out. Thank you.